So we're going to talk today about 5 things that are very important if you plan to move to Chesapeake coming up. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. That includes Virginia Beach and goes through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. These 5 things are things that I think that people are often overlooking or forgetting about when they choose to move to Chesapeake. And people compare Chesapeake to other cities, Virginia Beach, for example, and they want to move to Chesapeake. Then it seems very interesting to do that. However, these are things that I think are extremely important to consider before making that decision, because I do think that there might be some regret if you don't factor these in and move to Chesapeake and find out maybe you should have moved to Virginia Beach or some other city in Hampton Roads, or maybe not even Hampton Roads at all. So the number one thing is, when you live in Chesapeake, there's a great chance you might feel trapped when you live in Chesapeake. There are some specific locations and boundaries that, depending on where you live around those spots, can make you feel very trapped. And so what do I mean by that? Number one is that Chesapeake is a pretty large city. If you look on the map, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's a very large city, and it encompasses a wide range on east to west of Hampton Roads. So it's kind of like a horseshoe. So on the east side, you've got eastern like Greenbrier and South Chesapeake near like Hickory and Grassfield, those school districts. And then going further west, you've got Deep Creek and Western Branch and Indian River in the center part, as well as places like the school districts Oscar Smith near the central and southern parts of Chesapeake too. But as you go further west and south, it starts feeling further detached away from the rest of Hampton Roads, especially Virginia Beach. So there are several specific points in Chesapeake that if you cross these boundaries, it will start feeling even more and more isolated, and for some specific reasons. First of all, it's going to be on the eastern side of this area is going to be the Centerville Turnpike Bridge, which is on Centerville Turnpike. This connects towards the northern, like eastern side of Chesapeake down to the southeastern side into Great Bridge and near Hickory school districts. And then going further west from there, you've got the Great Bridge, which also connects the Battlefield Boulevard north and south areas where Greenbrier and further deep south like Chesapeake and Hickory are as well. Both of these two bridges are drawbridges. They go up pretty regularly during the day, and these two places, when they're opening, can also often cause further backups and push traffic back several minutes, 10-15 minutes a lot of times. And the reason why this also matters is because these streets were not designed for a lot of traffic before, like when these roads were built. And so because these bridges were built and they have drawbridges, these drawbridges back traffic up on roads that are often like they're 2-lane roads. And so traffic quickly backs up. And so it's just very congested in this area because of these two bridges. And they go up and down quite a bit. And I'll drop links below so you can see how much they go up and down on a regular basis. Now, the third place is the Veterans Bridge, which if you go further west, this is over into the Deep Creek, closer to Grassfield side. This is the Dominion Boulevard overpass that is new, relatively new, over the last few years. And this connects the areas closer to Greenbrier again, and also south going towards the further south, Deep Creek, near the Dismal Swamp, going all the way down to the south part into the Hickory School District and Grassfield School District, really, actually. Now, the reason why this matters is because this is a toll road. And so it's going to cost you a couple of extra dollars each way to go across this bridge. It saves time, so you don't have to go all the way around to these other bridges, but it still is going to cost you. And so this, while it's more handy as far as traffic goes, it will be extra money. And this, coupled with the other 2 bridges, are what can keep people that live further south from these 3 entryways or road spots. It can keep these people down further south and not really wanting to venture further up north as much. So the friends that you befriend and connect with, there's a good chance that the further away you are from these spots, it might be harder or more difficult to get people to come see you, and vice versa. You might not want to go see them as much, that kind of thing. They're kind of like barriers between the rest of the Chesapeake City and Virginia Beach. So now the fourth one is the high-rise bridge, which connects just further north over towards Deep Creek as well. This is not a toll or a drawbridge, but it's a pretty significant bridge because it connects on Interstate 64 to the rest of the city of Chesapeake towards the west side, Western Branch, into Deep Creek. And so if you want to go to the west side and don't want to go through the tunnel, like 264 going further north, you have to go the south way. This is the road you have to take. That's usually the quickest, as well as the Gilmerton Bridge, which is just further north from there, but that is not as commonly traveled. The main one is going to be this high rise that's being renovated, and when it's done, it's going to have a lot more lanes to it, which is very helpful. But even still, it's a bridge that when you cross over into the west side, it feels very different and just feels farther away, a lot farther away, as opposed to crossing on the other side near Greenbrier. That leads me to my next one, which is it can often make you feel isolated. So the trap adds to the isolation. And so if you have friends or can develop a friend system in these parts of Chesapeake that you're closest to, it will make things a whole lot easier to kind of build that life in that part of Chesapeake. But it doesn't mean you can't. Like, so for example, I lived in Virginia Beach for a lot of my childhood, and I had a lot of friends on the south part of Chesapeake, across the Great Bridge or the Centerville Turnpike Bridge, or, even over on the western side in Western Branch. And so I was used to that, but a lot of people I know aren't used to that. And so they can make it feel isolating depending on if you're on those further south parts of Chesapeake away from these bridges and tolls. And the next one is that it has split personalities. And so Chesapeake is a big city, I mentioned that, but depending on where you are in Chesapeake, there's a completely different vibe. So on the map, South Chesapeake, talking about Hickory, talking about Grassfield and the Great Bridge school districts, and part of Deep Creek, it is country. All that southern part of Chesapeake, it is extremely country. And the further south you go, you will see all this greenery. It's straight up country, and you'll see, and it will feel like that. I'll drop a pin so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. See, it is like a lot of forest and not too many houses. And so this is great for custom houses. It's great for just feeling detached, but that's the benefit. And also the drawback is that you can also feel detached. So that country element is the south part. Now in the central part, you've got Greenbrier, which is more of a kind of a city, like suburban feel, like closer to Greenbrier. Then going further north from there is South Norfolk. It kind of feels more like an urban area, more commercial, more industrial areas. It has a totally different feel, like houses that are closer together, older 1920s and 30s houses. It just feels like an older part of town, but it doesn't feel anything like the rest of Chesapeake. Now going further west from there, you've got Deep Creek and Western Branch. Deep Creek has a mixture of kind of an older style mixed with some newer construction, above a mixed bag. Going further west from there, Western Branch, that's going to be a lot of newer construction and a lot of older but suburban feel like Greenbrier. Greenbrier and Western Branch have a lot of similarities to them, and if you want something cheaper and you want that same suburban feel, Western Branch might be a good option for you. It just, again, feels further away from the rest of Hampton Roads, and so that's part of why I think it's cheaper as well. So fully different areas, personalities, depending on where you pick in Chesapeake. Now, the next thing about living in Chesapeake, it is cheaper or more expensive depending on what part of Chesapeake you want to move to. So Chesapeake itself, it has a lot of great school districts, in-demand school districts. Hickory, Grassfield, and Great Bridge are 3 of those. So if you pick the school districts that are in the highest demand, it is likely that you'll also be paying the most for your house. So houses in those areas, the most demand areas, are often at over $400,000 median sales price. Like South Chesapeake, over $400,000. But Central Chesapeake, you might be paying under $3 median sales price. You'll see that those numbers are a lot less. Going towards Western Chesapeake is closer to $4, but not totally there. So you've got a kind of a mixed bang for buck. You can get a good amount in Western Branch compared to like South Chesapeake. But again, you're going to be giving and taking there. But depending on what part of Chesapeake you live in, you'll get a vastly different price range for the house that you buy. Next is Greenbrier's changing. I did a video a couple weeks ago about the Summit Point area, in that there was originally no downtown area in Chesapeake at all. That's changing, and Summit Point is a brand new, up and coming downtown. That it's like the goal of the city, I think, is to make it like the downtown of Chesapeake. A lot of new restaurants, places to live, shopping nearby. That's in an area in Greenbrier that used to be a lot of undeveloped land or just kind of industrial parts of town. And so this is going to me, create a new vibe and a new, like, ushering in a new developed area in Greenbrier that I think is going to help propel the city to also do more in Greenbrier to kind of bring a facelift to what Greenbrier is now. Greenbrier was like the 90s pinnacle of shopping and living. It was awesome. And it still is a great central location, but it's just kind of like a dated house. It's a dated community or dated place to live. So there's actually going to be a city planning meeting on the 21st of June that I'm going to be hopefully going to get more of an idea as to what's going to be happening in Chesapeake for Greenbrier, because I think the Greenbrier is a very, very central and prime spot that as it changes and gets renovated and built up more and more and more, it's going to create more demand and more like value in Chesapeake that is already there, but I think there's a lot more room to grow. So if you want some speculation and some potential of appreciation in parts of Chesapeake, I do like Greenbrier for this reason. Don't discount the jet noise in Chesapeake. Now, I've talked a lot about the jet noise in Virginia Beach. The Oceana Naval Air Station has a lot of jets that fly in and around that naval station on the east side of Virginia Beach near the ocean in Oceana. That creates a lot of jet noise on that eastern side of the city. Now, on the flip side, people don't usually associate jets with Chesapeake, but there are some parts of Chesapeake that have jet noise. And again, I'll drop a link. The ACU's jet noise zone map is very helpful for this to give you an idea of where these spots are. But in general, on the south and eastern sides of Great Bridge, the Great Bridge-ish school district area, you'll see an area near Fentress. The Fentress Airfield is over here. There it is. This is another Navy landing strip that has planes that fly on a regular basis that can create a lot of noise for housing neighborhoods close to there. So I'm talking in areas near Centerville Turnpike, near Mount Pleasant Road. This whole area here, I'd say, has the highest likelihood of jets. And I'll drop that link so you can see the map so you can get more specifics and where the highest noise zone rankings are. But in general, the southeastern section of Chesapeake is often forgotten, but has jet noise in there. And some of the spots can be pretty loud compared to what you might even see in Virginia Beach. So if you have any other questions about relocating to Chesapeake or the areas around Chesapeake and Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, through Williamsburg, let me know. This is what I do. I love helping people relocate to this area. So if you have any questions, drop a comment below. You can call me, email, or text me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to this area. And I will see you on the next video.